pups, My Breeder Supply. Subscribe to us, please. We'd appreciate that. All right, today, canine parvovirus, CPV, bad stuff. So I've had some experience with this, not in a long time, thank God. But there's a lot of information out there. I think some of it's dubious. So I'm going to go over what I know about this and what my experiences with bees. So we're going to talk about what it is, how you diagnose it, how you prevent it, how you treat it. And I think it's going to be a two-part video because then it's too much stuff to get in a single video. All right. So CPV is a virus. It's a viral infection of dogs. Tends to affect younger dogs, specifically dogs that have not completed their full vaccinations. And 90% of dogs that are not treated who get CPV will succumb to it. They will die from it. So it's really bad stuff. However, 85% of those dogs who are treated correctly will survive it. So it is treatable, and it's treatable in a fairly short time. Typically, you can take a dog, especially if you catch this early, you can take a dog from being really in trouble to being okay in about a week or less. So the secret to this is getting on top of it. Okay, to that point, well, let's just talk about what the symptoms are. So dogs that have contracted CPV, canine parvovirus, got corona on the mind, will show signs of it within 3 to 5 days, 3 to 8 days of being exposed. They will start to show symptoms of it. And the symptoms start off by a dog that's lethargic. It's just not very active at all. It's not its usual self. May have a temperature. Next step is it'll start vomiting and have violent diarrhea. So those are the things that make you think all of a sudden that you've got a dog that has parvo on your hands. And they have a kind of a funny smell about these dogs too. So it's not much use me telling you about that when you come across it for the first time, but you will recognize that smell when you've been around these dogs. It is extremely contagious. So the important thing here is to isolate those dogs, correct hygiene, and then get them on the right meds as quick as you can. So how do you detect it? Well, the answer is, the simple way is just a snap test. And I sell these on My Breeder Supply in lots of 5 and 10. And I don't remember the price on them. They're not very expensive. I think, you have to go look. It's somewhere between 80 and 150 bucks. But basically what you do is you have a little cassette. You collect some poop. The viral contaminants are in the feces. So you take a little bit of feces, you get a little tube with some buffer solution in it, take a little feces, you put it in here, how much? Half a cc of poop. Put it in with this, give it a really good shake up so you can shake everything up. Comes with a dropper. You take the dropper, you suck out a little bit of that fluid, and you put 3 drops in the window. And then this test then shows after about 5 to 10 minutes, there'll be 1 or 2 lines that form. The first line lets you know the test is good, and the second line, if it appears, means the dog does have parvo, and it's time to get on with the treatment as quickly as you possibly can, because this gets out of control in a hurry. So why does the dog suffer? What goes wrong? Well, the simple answer is its gut gets bombarded by the viral infection. And that then causes the dog to not be able to absorb any food, so it gets malnourished, and then it starts vomiting and diarrhea, and those things dehydrate the dog. So without any intervention, the dog basically dies from dysentery. And then secondary infections, because the gut lining gets really mucked up by the viral infection. It can get into the blood supply, the dog can get septic, the dog gets in trouble in a hurry. So you see a dog, so I'll tell you about my first experience. This is with some labs. This was some lab puppies. We went to the vet to get a medical checkup done, and we'd never been exposed to parvo unknowingly before. But in the vet's office, there was a dog there on the table that had parvo. And that's all it took for us to get the whole litter infected with parvo over the next 3 days to a week. And within 10 days of that, 10 puppies were all dead. It was awful. It was distressing. It was emotionally horrible. It was terrible for the dogs. I enlisted the vet's help. What they didn't get it done. It was a bad day. I then had a second round of parvo about 2 years later with 3 puppies, and I knew what to do, and all 3 of them survived. So I went from complete failure to complete success. So let's talk first about what you do to stop even getting it in the first place. Guess what? The first one is vaccinations. You can vaccinate for CPV. And if you're responsible about what you're doing, you should get that done at 6, 9, 12 weeks. They need to be, you can't do it earlier than that, and you can't do it more often than that. Well, I say that, I mean, different vets will have different ideas about this, but this is what we do: 6, 9, 12 weeks, 3 sets of shots. The shots are like $7 for a 5-way shot that covers all kinds of different things. There's absolutely no reason to skip this. And you can do it yourself. I buy mine from Revival. I buy a pack of 25. They go in the fridge. They've got a shelf life of, I don't know, probably a year. But they can't get warm. They send them to you on ice in a little styrofoam container. But 6, 9, 12 weeks vaccinate. That is the fix for not getting it. The problem is, as a dog will not have full immunity till probably they're something in the order of 15 weeks old before they've got immunity. So here's the next thing. You don't expose your puppies to other places that dogs that may have had or have parvo are around. Where are those places? Well, the vet's office, unfortunately. That's where I got it from. So the vet's office is one place. So when we go to the vet, our dogs don't touch any surfaces. We actually have our portable incubator and they go in that. But you can have a box. Just don't let your dogs be exposed to any surfaces in the vet's office. Next thing is, don't take them to a dog park. That is the worst place to go. And then places like PetSmart, where you see people taking young dogs in there because they really want to show their dogs off. I understand that you want to show your dogs off, but that's not the best place for them to go. It's like a newborn baby. You don't take a newborn baby at 1 day old to go to a restaurant with it in your lap. I mean, I don't think you should. So limit exposure, get vaccinated. Those are the things that you have to do. If you don't do that, then you're missing the boat and you could have a problem. And if you keep on doing much of this, you probably will have a problem. Okay, where are we headed with this? So the next thing is what you do. And I'm going to have a second part of this video. We're going to specifically talk about the medications that you're going to do. But the first thing is early detection. Early detection. If you think that a dog, is having bad diarrhea and vomiting, I would do a snap test immediately. And look, what I would recommend, because I'm making a sale for our product here, I'd recommend you go to My Breeder Supply and you order 5 of them or 10 of them, put them in the fridge. Actually, you don't even have to store them in the fridge. I can just store out in a room. Because it's 5 minutes to do the test. You don't have to draw blood. You can do it yourself. That is the best result you can get, is to find out early and start treating right away. Okay. So the next thing is, once you realize that you might have a dog that has parvo, you've got to quarantine it. Got to quarantine that dog. Quarantine. You've got to quarantine the dog. And you've got to take it away from any other dogs where it's completely in a different part of your house or your kennel system where there's physically no fecal contact between that dog and other dogs. It's passed through feces. So you can't let this dog out in the yard. And you can't let this dog out to a common play area, because those things, the dog will put some feces out there and another dog likely will sniff it, get it in the nose, and the next thing you know, they have now contracted parvo. And I can tell you from my experience, it goes through. If you don't do the right things on the quarantine, all your dogs get it. And the older dogs probably fine, they're probably immune to it. But the young dogs, you can have a huge problem in a big hurry. So quarantine. So the next thing is scrupulous cleanliness. I'm not even going to write cleanliness down, I won't get it right. But keep everything clean. So keep everything clean. And the answer is bleach. Bleach is the thing that will kill 10-to-1 ratio water to bleach. 10-to-1 bleach in a spray bottle, or in what we used, it was one of those pump-up house sprayers. We put the bleach in it and it was always there. So anytime that you've gone into an area where the dog has puked or has had diarrhea, clean it up, spray the bleach. There's no point shampooing the dog. The dog's got it. There's no point. The dog looked like hell, but honestly, you didn't worry. We'd wipe a dog down, but we wouldn't worry about giving the dog a bath because it's just going to pee, puke, and vomit all over itself and diarrhea all over itself. But keep everything clean. That means that when you clean an area up, you put everything into a plastic bag. That plastic bag goes straight to the trash. What I would do is the area you're walking into, have a different set of shoes and have gloves on. Remember, this is transmitted through feces. So anytime you touch or walk into an area where there's been contaminated, you must assume your shoes and their gloves were contaminated. Throw the gloves away, leave the shoes in there, step into some different shoes. Even better, have a little tray that's got some 10-to-1 bleach water ratio in it. You step into that before you ever go in there. But still, I would not be walking around with those shoes after you've been in the area. But bleach will kill it. So after this has happened, how long is the dog infectious for? Well, the answer is 6 to 10 weeks. After a dog has contracted, after a dog is showing no symptoms of coronavirus, it is still infectious. So that dog is still going to be in quarantine for quite some time. And then the area that the dog has been in, if it's on a ground, if it's on the grass, that can stay, the virus is very, very tough. The only thing that'll kill it is bleach and time and sunlight, and it takes a lot of it. I mean, I don't know, if you don't bleach an area and it's out in your grass, I don't know how long you can stay infectious for, but many, many, many months. So when we had this problem, we started spraying the yard down every day with bleach water. The grass loved it. The grass got green and pretty. But we then had another litter about 9 months later, and we never had another problem. So we apparently, and they'd been on the grass all over the place out there. So we apparently did kill it successfully. So, right. So now I think, so this is going to remember that you've got 6 months or more that the virus can stay dormant in the ground, ready to infect another dog. So 6 months or more before you're safe on that area. Okay. All right. So then the next thing is, how do you treat this? Well, like I said, we're going to break this into a 2-part video. Let's look at the time on it real quick, see how far we've gone on this. And yeah, we're already 12 minutes into this. So I'm just going to touch on it really briefly. So basically, you've got 2 ways you can do this. You can go to the vet and give that dog to the vet, or you can treat this at home. I think that it's not fair to take this dog to the vet because I think that's a very dangerous thing to do. I don't think that dogs with parvo should be in a vet's facility. I think you're asking for exactly the problem we had the very first time, is to give this nightmare to somebody else. You can absolutely treat this at home. You can treat it, if you go to the vet, by the way, and you have a vet take care of this for you, you're going to spend $2,000 or $3,000 a dog. You can treat the entire litter for maybe $100 if you do this yourself. So I'm going to talk about that. Now be careful, because there's plenty of snake oil out there about various different things and ideas that people have that I think are absolute bunk. I'm not selling you a product. I'm giving you advice based on what I did. Remember, I'm not a vet, but I have had experience with it. I've had bad experience when I didn't know what to do, and positive, 100% positive experience when I knew what to do. That doesn't mean that you're going to be 100% successful. But the basis of this, before we go on to the next video, because that's going to be probably the next day, just wipe this off the board here. I'm going to tell you briefly what we're going to be doing and how we're going to treat this. So the problem is that the dog got really bad diarrhea, and it will get basically dysentery, and so it gets dehydrated for that. So, and the next thing is its gut lining is messed up, which causes distress for the dog. It starts to vomit, and it doesn't eat food, and it has secondary infections. So the first thing we have to do is we have to hydrate the dog. And so the idea behind this is that we give injections in the back of its neck. Every time that it's vomited or had diarrhea, you look at about how much fluid it's lost, and you put that back in with an injection, which you can do very simply, what's called a subcutaneous injection. Lift the skin up and put in a saline solution here. We'll talk about that in the next video. So this is fundamental. This is the thing that if you don't do this, the dog's not going to make it. The second thing is that you give an anti-vomit medicine that you are going to have to get from your vet. You don't think you're going to find that anywhere. So that's from the vet. So you've got to go to the vet to get that. The third thing is that you're going to start off by giving injections of antibiotics. Same thing under the skin, injections of antibiotics. You can't give this orally, antibiotic. You cannot give this orally because the dogs will just throw it up and its gut's messed up anyway. So that's an injection. Number 4 is that you give something like Pepto-Bismol. Pepto-Bismol, spelled wrong, sorry about that. Pepto-Bismol to basically coat their stomach and make them feel more comfortable. Number 5, when you get to the point that things are subsiding a little bit, you give very bland food. And you continue antibiotics orally, so an oral antibiotic. And this one here, you can't, so this injected antibiotics, that really is going to be the vet. And this one here, you might be able to do that yourself, at home remedy or not. Okay, so we're going to talk now in this next video about how you do this, how you administer it, what you expect to see for the signs, and how you go about that process. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you don't ever have parvo. If you do, it's a bad day. But there is some ways to get through this. But if you take no action, you're not going to have a good result whatsoever at all. And the dogs that have been through this are then immune to it. They're not getting it again. They are dogs that will be fine. But you've got to get them past this fairly quickly so that the dog survives and you don't do irreparable damage to the dog. If you like this, subscribe to us. The snap test I talked to you about, that is available from My Breeder Supply. You can buy them there. Along with a lot of other products too. Hey, thanks for watching. Good luck.